I mean, honest to God, that I even had to make a video about this is just so ridiculous. The single most cringeworthy experience of my life. Fuck. Hey my fishes, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about the differences between plagiarism, copying, and inspiration. So buckle up. At this point, I'm recording this before I have actually released the last video. If you missed the last video, definitely check it out. I will leave a link for it up in the cards so you don't miss out. Probably watch it first so that you can see exactly why we're even having this discussion in the first place. There is a possibility that you're going to have similar inspiration. You know, for example, that sea slug tail that everybody and their cousin has done a design for recently. I've done one, Finfolk's done one, Dimitri Arts has done one. Everybody's kind of given this a go, but I feel like this tail specifically is a really good example of three different companies who have taken the same inspiration and created three different designs. So let's, for instance, we're just going to take a look at mine, Finfolk's, and Dimitri Arts. So we're going to take a look at these three different designs of the same inspiration. Now, my hope is that you can clearly see between these three designs that it is the same inspo, three completely different styles, three different techniques, three different looks, okay? The Finfolk tail has a very Finfolk design, mine has a very Courtney Mermaid, Shop Vancouver Mermaid design, and Dimitri Arts is very Dimitri Arts, okay? So this would be an example of inspiration. Yes, I would say inspiration because we got our inspiration from the same source, from the little sea slug, glaucus, whatever it's called. This is why, as artists, when you are trying to develop your skills, yes, you can look and you can admire and you can copy and you can practice, never claiming it as your own, mind you. That is how you develop your style, but how you really hone your skills is to actually look at the source. Now, copying. Copying is when you see somebody has come out with an idea and you go and do the same thing. Now, that would be an example of, say, the arm fins that I came out with. Somebody copied my exact design, and there have been a few people since. I don't own the idea of arm fins. I've already discussed this, we're not going to rehash. This person took my shape and copied it. That's copying. Okay, that's not inspiration, that's copying. And there has been another artist who's actually copied my shape, again, whether they realize it or not, that is what it is. Which brings us to another really good point. Something that can happen, and it's happened to me, it's happened to every artist under the sun, I guarantee you. You see something that you like, you log that away. Then you have an opportunity to come up with a design, and you're not sure where you got this good idea from because it's just been mulling in your brain for years, for however long. And all of a sudden that comes out in your work. Now, it's your responsibility to, when somebody brings this to your attention and they say, hey, ooh, you know, that's a little bit close for comfort there. Now you have to look at this objectively. You have to say to yourself, okay, am I copying this from somewhere? Where did I get my idea from? You take that and you roll with it. I see this happening way too often. And I'm speaking to the people who copy all of us directly. A mermaid tail is one thing. For example, a Finfolk mermaid tail is a Finfolk mermaid tail. That shape is not up for grabs. You can't just say to yourself, oh, look at that cool fin shape, fluke shape, whatever, I'll just use that, nobody will notice. No, no, no. And this is where we come to such an interesting kind of a crossroads. I don't know that everybody who gets into mermaiding actually understands that mermaid tails are an art form. Creating mermaid tails is a form of art. The practice of wearing a mermaid tail, whether you're doing it as your job or you're doing it as whatever, this is an art form, a performance art. This is a creative process. This is a journey here, okay? You know, not everybody treats it that way. A lot of tail makers out there treat it purely as a business, but I know the vast majority of us treat this as an artistic expression, okay? This is no different than making an oil painting or a watercolor, selling prints of your work, and this kind of thing. So when you see somebody go and just take whatever they want, this is, you know, an example of this would be, say, you know, there's an artist online, you know, comes up with a really cool painting and somebody decides, oh, well, that's a great idea. I'm going to turn that into a coloring book page and just traces it and then starts selling it. This is not acceptable behavior. This is not okay. You should not do this. This is bad form. I have I was about to say I have lots of patience. I have no patience, actually. Let's be totally honest here. We have officially hit the last straw of any patience that I have towards people who do this. At this point, there are very few excuses. There are very few reasons. I think age is probably the only excuse that you have at this point. Perhaps you are too young to know that what you're doing is wrong. And that for me is the only excuse. At this point, if you are trying to start a mermaid tail making business, you need to be aware others came before you, others are going to come after you, and you are going to need to find a way to bring something new to the table. Don't decide you're going to start a tail making business because it's going to be a great way to make a quick buck, because by the way, it's not. And you're going to just take whoever's design and recolor it, slap your logo on it. Oh my God. I was actually reached out to this person. I'm not going to give names and I'm not going to say what's what, but they said to me, well, the artist would like to speak to you because they actually have layers and they can actually show you their work. And bless your heart, I'm sure you were trying to come from a place of wanting this just to all kind of iron over. The issue is, I've seen the evidence. Just like all of you guys thought it was okay to just start screen grabbing everything I was saying and sharing it all over the place, you know, off my Twitter and off wherever, okay. Oh, I do the same thing. I have a collection of all of the times I've been screwed over, okay? And other times that tailmaker friends of mine have also been screwed over. We all talk, okay? This is no big mystery. And they come to me and they're like, well, this particular person actually had a copy of my tail and a copy of another tailmaker and a copy of another tailmaker. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, so there's a pattern here. The example I wish to give you is two artists come together and they're asked to draw a cat, okay? They're given a reference photo. They're said, here, take this little orange tabby. It's super cute. Draw me a picture, okay? Now, two different artists, you are going to get something that looks like the orange tabby in two different styles. That is when you're using the same inspiration to create two different pieces of artwork. Now, say you get those two images back and they actually line up perfectly one on top of the other. Somebody has cheated the system. Somebody has cheated. One of these two artists has copied the other, okay? And you just pray to God that the original artist has enough evidence to back themselves up. Can't even believe I'm having to make this for a video right now. Where we get into trouble is when the community decides that they know better, especially when they think they know better than the artists who have created the body of work. And I say this with as much love as possible because I know the vast majority of you are doing this out of a place of wanting to protect the artist, of wanting to, you know, show up, and it is so important that you continue to do that. It is so important because there are people out there who are, you know, they need to be made aware of the situation. They're about to make a purchase. They might want to know that what they're buying has been ripped off of another artist, and it is important to leave those comments and let people know. But it is really, I mean, right royally important to know the difference between plagiarism, copying, and inspiration. It is so vitally important, okay? Fuck. Plagiarism is when you have mermaid tail A and mermaid tail B, and the copying is obvious, okay? The lines have been traced, the shape is virtually the same, everything, maybe the colors in a very specific pattern. This has definitely been the thing, okay? Copying is when somebody comes up with an original design. I make custom mermaid tails all the time, right? If I come up with an original idea, and I know that it's mine, and then it's not based off of anything in reality, it's not based off of a real fish, it's my idea from my head. And then I see somebody else create something that looks just like mine. That's copying. That's what that is. Is there a possibility that two artists on two different sides of the planet, given a similar history, similar life experiences, similar tastes, is there a chance that they will also create something similar? Yes, of course, there's always a chance. When it gets uncanny, okay, when the majority of it is similar enough and you're like, oh, and one came before the other, that's where we're getting a little bit lost, okay? Now, inspiration is different, right? You can, and I have no problem with this. I need to make this abundant. I need this on a shirt, okay? I believe that there is enough room for all of the tail makers out there. This isn't just my industry. This isn't just, I am not the inventor of a creative endeavor like this. Do you know what I mean? Yes, my proprietary systems and how I do things are my invention that I have worked hard for, but there is room for everyone. I am certainly not the only tail maker out there. I'm not the first and I'm not the last, okay? There's room for all of us. Where was I going with this? Oh, God, really? The one brain cell that I use to make these videos just, like, pieced out. Okay, here we go. Say you look at my work and you're inspired by what it is that I do. Fantastic. Don't go copying everything that's on my website and in my store. You can be inspired by and still have unique ideas and still bring something unique to the table, okay? I have a lot of tailmaker friends. You would think, you would be out there thinking, oh, they don't talk to each other because they're all too competitive and blah, blah, blah. No, no, no. We're all talking to each other because we wish to work together and inspire each other and lift each other up, and that is how it should be. I genuinely feel as though people have become too lax. Like we're too careless now. You know, we're not really understanding that even if I haven't actually spoken to the tailmaker who ripped me off, so I can't say for sure. My guess is that they did take my work for inspiration and they did make layers to try and paint and try and do to make it their own. The thing is, you can't just take something that somebody else has made and just push a brush around a little bit and call it something new. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's how lawsuits happen, man. Like, that's a no-no. I tried so hard. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. I think this has gotten a little bit out of hand here. I don't even know where we were really at with all of this, but plagiarism is a direct copy of somebody else's work, whether it's pieced together or traced or what have you. That's plagiarism, okay? That's when we need to be upset. Copying, we also need to be upset. But straight up plagiarism, that's when we need to, as a community, be upset. And you need to be able to prove this without a shadow of a doubt, okay? Have the original designer's image, do a quick, if you have any kind of Photoshop or any photo editing experience, just do a quick like overlay or something so that you can see. And the reason that I want to say this is because the rest of that tale, though obvious that they have taken inspiration from me, it doesn't actually look enough like mine that I even care. I don't even care. The seam fins were the only thing that really irked me. And it did irk me, okay? The tail itself is fine, and they changed the fins, they've got the spiky fins, so, you know, thumbs up for doing that. I appreciate that you did that. And now I have no care or no worry. If somebody wants a Pirate Dreams tail from me, they're gonna get it from me, okay? The things that I do cannot be so easily and quickly just produced and reproduced, right? I took 3 months. Like, it took me 3 months to design those tails, and maybe that seems excessive for some people, but I put a lot of thought. And I think something really important when you're trying to figure out if you're in that gray area of whether or not you're going to be considered a copycat or not, how often do people tell you that your work reminds them of somebody else's work, or it looks like somebody else's work? How often are you told that your stuff is too similar? Okay? Because if that's the case, quote Casey Neistat, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. And the way to know and to gauge if you are doing it right is how often do people let you know that your work is being copied? Because that probably means that you are innovating and you are coming out with something new. And here's something to be joyful about, is do understand that if people are copying you, they're gonna have to wait for you to come out with something new before they can create anything new too. It's a vicious little cycle. So we covered plagiarism. Copying is like an idea that you've copied, a style that you've copied. You've used somebody else too heavily for inspiration. Now it's considered copying, okay? Here, you can point it out and know that there is a chance that the artist didn't realize that they'd done this. For example, there was a tail maker who I don't believe is making mermaid tails anymore. Tanny Chew, if you remember. Tanny Chew came out with a Glaucus sea slug design as well. Happened to share the image. I had already completed mine and I hadn't shown any images yet. They shared theirs and I was like, oh God. And at the time, we were two of the only ones who had done something like this. And I'm over here like, oh my God, I am seeing stars. Mine was a custom client order. We'd been working on it for months at that point, and I'm like, I'm gonna post this and I am gonna really upset Tanichu, which I didn't want to do. And so I messaged her and I was like, hey, just so you know, I have also been working on a design, and our two designs did look not super similar, but similar enough, okay? And I was like, so this is gonna come out, and I need you to know that I have been working on this for however many weeks prior to, to seeing yours. So please don't be surprised, and please don't be upset when this does come out. Now, that's a professional courtesy. That's something nice that you do when you can see that this may make somebody feel not so good. Now, Tanichu doesn't own the sea slug design. Like, she owns hers, but sea slugs are from nature. That's just existing in nature. There's nothing you can do about that. That's for everybody to enjoy, okay? But in that specific way of interpreting it, that's where you have the issue, right? I don't know how to make this any clearer, but I do think that as a community, we need to be a little bit more careful, because there are instances where I see people going off after other creators because their design looks a little bit similar. And the thing is, they may be taking inspiration from the same place. Do you know what I mean? Another really big one that happens all the time is koi fish. You know that you don't own koi fish, right? That exists out in the universe for everybody to use. If you've got specific branding, that's one thing. You've got a logo, you've got a name, you've got a design, fine. That's for your business. A specific design of a koi fish, again, is different. If the spots are in a very specific way, the colors are a very specific palette, again, whole other kettle of fish. Pun intended. It's hard to watch. I left so many of the groups online because of this, including that scammer group, which, frankly, I can hear them coming for me with their tridents already. Frankly, I feel like it either needs a different title for that group, or it needs a little bit of wrangling in a certain direction, because I have watched things get so out of hand, and it's like one or two people have a negative thing to say and suddenly the whole world explodes. I'm awake at 10:30 at night yesterday, making an Instagram story like 46 stories later, trying to wrangle the chaos. And I thought that, I'm like, okay, well, somebody let me know it was similar. Let me deal with it. That's good. You've alerted me. I've seen it. Great. Thank you for letting me know. I'm not too worried about it. And then suddenly it's on 4 different forums, and people are messaging me and emailing me, and there's comments, and I'm like, and I'm grateful. Please don't mistake this. I am grateful for the support, right? I'm definitely grateful for the support. And this is important to do because we are kind of that front line of defense. Like, when you see something and you see that it's wrong, which is why I'm here even making these videos in the first place. When you see it and it's wrong, that's your opportunity to say something. That's your opportunity to be like, hey, yo, hi, you're actually copying somebody, and here's the evidence, or, but instead we've dedicated forums. And what does this say about us as a community? And what does this say about our creators? People are coming into this community and deciding that they're just going to scam us and they're just going to rip us off, that we had to actually make a group to talk about it? There has to be a better way, you guys. That kind of negativity, that is not why I got into mermaiding. I mean, geez Louise. I'm not really sure how it could be done better. I just think it's really important for us all to take a minute to consider what it is we're about to say to somebody, especially because, there are going to be times where it was a genuine oopsie, and people can be so fierce. And again, I appreciate it. I just think that it's so important to remember that there are also people on the other side. And yes, I've been harsh in my videos too. And yes, I've called people names and I've been pissed because I am pissed. This is something that, as an artist with so many years of experience doing what I do, I get so frustrated. I get so tired of it. So I just really want to see us do better, okay? But if you have the skill to take somebody else's artwork and manipulate it and change it to make it fit your needs, you do have the skill to come up with something all on your own. And I promise you, whatever it is that you come up with on your own is going to be far more special and far more impressive than anything you would have copied from somebody else. I absolutely guarantee it. And you are not only that, but you're going to be happier. You're going to feel pride when you see people swimming in your work. And I want that for you. I really do. Okay? So I hope that after these 2 videos where I have been sassy as fuck and just frustrated as heck, that we just know that I am hoping that you can see that I am coming from a place of just wanting more for our community and wanting things to be better for everyone, more accessible for everyone. If you found this interesting or helpful, you would like to start a conversation, a polite conversation, a respectful conversation in the comment section down below, be sure to let me know your thoughts. Otherwise, if you enjoyed the video, give it a big thumbs up, let me know, hit that subscribe button, join the pod, all that good stuff. And otherwise, I look forward to catching you all again in my next video. Happy swimming! Bye! I mean, honest to God, that I even had to make a video about this is just so ridiculous. Just makes me, it's like the single most cringeworthy experience of my life. And I guess I'm just never gonna get to post that video with all the mean comments that I got. Which was funny. It was funny. Fucking mad. A big thank you to the Patreon Pod for helping sponsor today's episode. The Patreon Pod is your mermaid home away from home with a private Discord community chat, weekly live streams with replays where you can actually watch me make mermaid tales live, as well as get exclusive looks at upcoming projects I'm working on and more. Please check out the link in the description box down below.